Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Rood. I'm the VP of Marketing at LeadIQ, and welcome to the session. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. Make sure you have your coffee or your water or your Coca-Cola product. If you want, I'd love to see where are you all coming from. If you want to put it in the chat window, it's become a LeadIQ tradition. So we'd love to see where this audience is. So if you want to fill that in, that would be great. Oh, we got some North Carolina, me, a lot of Texas, Croatia, Connecticut, Maryland, Atlanta, Philippines, snowy Boston. I'm sorry, Dave. Vietnam, sweet. Give us about 15 seconds and we'll get going. Kelsey in Mexico. Welcome to you all. We are really thrilled about the turnout today. There has been a lot of interest, of course, with generative AI because most of us are facing a lot of the same problems, which are budgets are being slashed, workforces are getting slashed, everything seems to be getting slashed except for the need for sales pipeline. And growing and even sustaining pipeline is hard, as you all know. I was speaking with one of LeadIQ's board advisors last week, and she had summed up what today's environment looks like from where she sits. And she said that today's sales organizations, they're succeeding or they're failing on the basis of whether they can make outbound work. And since we aren't spending as much money, we're now in a position to where sales has to do more with less. And it's tricky to do more when you're prospecting. And because making outbound work or pipeline generation broadly isn't just one thing, it's a whole set of things. And they have to both work and they have to work together. And at LeadIQ, making outbound work is certainly our passion. And we don't want to just give you the best pieces, but we want to help you put them all together to generate more pipeline. So, one important piece, which is, I guess, the purpose of our session today, is about message generation using artificial intelligence. If I was speaking, I think, to a sales leader 3 months ago, and I said, hey, what are your thoughts about using generative AI for your sellers to be more effective at doing outbound messaging? Most likely, I would have been met with a blank stare. But unless you have been hidden under an internet rock the past 2 months, you've been inundated with front page headlines from top media companies about the potential transformational wave of generative AI. And more specifically, I'm sure most of you have heard of ChatGPT. So the question that we have today is, can AI make messages simple to send and enticing to read? And ultimately, will it get a salesperson a meeting in a more effective way? If it can, you're doing more with less, right? You're building pipeline with fewer resources. You're staying in business because you're making outbound work if it can. But can it? And that is what we are going to have I think, a very enjoyable session today investigating. We have two AI tools today, LeadIQ's Scribe and ChatGPT, and two approaches that we want to compare. And I think you're going to be interested in what the results are that we found. So to take us on this journey today, we've asked one of our colleagues, Zach Franzen, to investigate the case. And he's been working on this for the past 3 weeks. And Zach works with me here at LeadIQ. He has worked in messaging and rhetorical structure in publishing and in software for a really long time. So we think he's well suited for this evaluation. So I'm going to turn it over to Zach. And as I do, I did want to throw up, we just have one poll question today that I wanted to throw up while we're transitioning. And that is really just a kind of a where are we at? How many of you have tried to use probably ChatGPT or a generative AI solution for outbound selling? Have you tried that? Yes or no? Just looking quickly at the results. So more yeses than nos. It's still split. We've got the answers still coming in. So yeah, more yeses than nos, which I think that's great. So you'll have some context, I think, as we get into that. Zach, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Dan. So today we want to compare two things. We want to compare ChatGPT's versatility with Scribe's sales tailored approach. We want to ask which is better for sales. It's really a contest between a generalist approach and a specialist approach. So let's start with ChatGPT, which is an expert at syntax. It draws from a huge data set to arrange words cleverly, and the result is impressive verbal fluency, even if it has to sometimes resort to cliches or superficial treatments or even false information. Right? So in some ways, ChatGPT is like a friend who uses poise and confidence and smart sounding phrases to mimic the form of expertise. And that can get you pretty far in life, I found. But the AI's understanding, if you can call it that, seems primarily about forms and not about substance. And it seems to know a lot of forms, even story forms. I spent an evening asking it to write one-page treatments for movies that don't exist yet. My favorite was the crossover between Indiana Jones and Jane Austen's Emma. It's titled The Governess and the Archaeologist, coming soon. But for this webinar, I was interested in sales messages. Which AI makes these messages enticing for the reader? Which AI makes these messages easy for the sender? Now, ChatGPT understands general message forms, but how well does it understand the form of a sales message? That's what we're going to find out. So here's the test. We input one value proposition for both AI, and then we compare the outputs. So remember, a value proposition, it's a concise, reusable statement that demonstrates value. For example, tired of dull knives? These knives are the only knives sharp enough to dice a coconut shell. Now, if you're in the market for knives, this value prop helps you see the value of the product, right? So that's a value proposition. So before we insert a value proposition, we have a hurdle to leap. We need a company, we need a product to sell. So what company will best reveal the AI? If the product sells itself, if it's a really great product, like cars fueled by water, it's hard to detect the AI's contribution. So I'm going to ask it to sell a not great product, just so we can see how good the AI is. So here's a not great idea, right? Home cubes. Home cubes get employees back into the office and homing from work. Here's a cutaway view to show you how employees can import all the distractions of home directly into their workplace. Surround sound speakers simulate the neighbor's buzzsaw or the occasional doorbell in the middle of the day. No longer do employees have to face the paralyzing silence of the office. Projection screen window lets employees experience the sights as well as the sounds of a dog barking at the mailman. And perpetual children's programming pulls extra concentration from employees for that spark that makes their work stand out. Home Cubes includes an uncomfortable move it or bruise it kitchen chair to get you up and moving. And with enough space for plants and pictures, you can surround yourself with everything that makes a cube a home. And I can't forget our state-of-the-art spontaneous mesh generator that makes your cube feel lived in. So introducing Home Cubes, right? And that's a garbage product. Now we need a value proposition to tie it all together. Hold my beer. I give this to ChatGPT. Write a sales email with the following value proposition. For employers who want to increase productivity and entice employees back to the office, Home Cubes recreate the pleasant friction of home in the workplace. Home Cubes are the only office environmental solutions that simulate the sights, smells, and sounds of home, like kids arguing in the next room or contractors banging on walls. So bring home to work and watch productivity soar. All right, ChatGPT, let's see what you do with that. Boom. Now, it doesn't phase ChatGPT at all. It just types up this message straight away. Now, hopefully none of you are going, Home Cubes, what a great idea, as we all slouch toward the matrix. But anyway, let's work through this bit by bit here with larger text. Okay. So the subject line, transform your workplace with the magic of Home Cubes. Let's see what we get. As businesses continue to reopen, we understand the importance of creating a work environment that inspires your employees and increases productivity. Okay, so this opening really isn't structured to grab attention. It doesn't quite make you want to read all about it. It's sedate. And notably, the intro isn't personalized to the recipient. How could it? ChatGPT isn't connected to a customer database, so it doesn't have contact information. And the data set that it's drawing from is from 2021. That's what it told me when I asked it for the weather. But let's sidebar for just a minute on why personalization matters. Okay. So very simply, personalization has shown to increase response rates by 112%. So everyone wants to do it, right? But it's hard. And there are a lot of tactics going forward. Sometimes you'll see individualized gifts to guilt prospects into hearing a demo. You'll see customized poems to grab their attention, maybe even dad jokes to bypass skepticism. But most sales leaders believe you need these three ingredients to personalize, right? So you need first an authentic insight about the prospect. You also need a great value proposition to position what you sell. And thirdly, you need an effective transition that connects those two. So that's the work of personalization. And ChatGPT doesn't do that. And that's partly maybe why the opening is so lackluster. But back to the email. So if you recall, people are coming back to the office. You need to inspire people and increase productivity. That's why we've created Home Cubes, the ultimate solution for employees who want to bring the comfort and familiarity of home to the workplace. Now, comfort and familiarity, that's a nice turn of phrase. So well done, ChatGPT. Home Cubes is the only office environmental solution that simulates the sights, smells, and sounds of home, creating a workspace that feels like home and encouraging employees to be more productive. Okay, this is a pretty elegant embodiment of my value proposition, in fairness. So well done, ChatGPT. But there's more. We've recreated the pleasant friction of home in the workplace. Imagine the sounds of kids arguing in the next room, the clattering of dishes in the kitchen, or the hum of conversation in the living room. No, wait 1 second. Kids arguing in the next room, check, that's in the prompt. Clattering of dishes in the kitchen, great idea, not in the prompt. Hum of the conversation in the living room, I get cozy just thinking about it, but it's not in the prompt. ChatGPT is going off script. It's inventing functionality because it feels like those words should go together, right? Those concepts should go together, even if they don't. Let's continue. With Home Cubes, you can entice your employees back to the office and create an environment that encourages collaboration, innovation, and productivity by bringing the comfort of home to the workplace. You can reduce absenteeism and improve overall job satisfaction. Can reduce absenteeism, and it seems like a credible inference. Let's just allow it. So our team will work with you to customize the Home Cubes experience to suit your company's unique needs and culture. But what? Customize the Home Cubes experience to suit your company's unique needs and culture? That is a complete invention, right? We can help you create a dynamic and engaging workspace that will impress clients and inspire your employees to do their best work. Don't settle for the mundane office environment when you can have the magic of Home Cubes transform your workplace and watch your business soar. Thank you for considering Home Cubes as a solution to your workplace. We would love to discuss further how Home Cubes can transform your office into a dynamic and inviting space. Please feel free to contact us, yada, yada. Okay. So it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It is even impressive, I think, in some respects. But I don't think that ChatGPT deeply understands the form of a sales message, right? There's no personalization. It's just not set up to do that. It's too long, 260 words. So no hard and fast rules, but the general range for a cold first touch email is 50 to 150 words. So its default setting gives you a really long email. Thirdly, it invents things. Now, on the one hand, invention is great. Exhibit A, The Governess and the Archaeologist. Such a movie would provoke the country into a frenzy of happiness, I'm sure. That would be a great outcome of invention. A less great outcome would be the prospect saying, when you say customize the cubes in accordance with our company's unique needs and culture, what do you mean? Or tell me more about your dish clattering features. Despite the email being verbally fluid, despite it being interesting to read, I think it's both of those things. These problems remain. But it's just the first pass. We can still hammer out a passable sales message. I just need to do some serious editing. So I need to create personalization, right? I need to edit it for length and I need to edit it for accuracy. So let me show you the results real quick. Okay. This is the 260 word email. I delete the stuff that's false. That's the light blue here. I cut the stuff that's redundant or lackluster. Keep in mind, I have to have room for word count to personalize and to have a transition to the value prop. And I'm left with this text. So I switch the two paragraphs, the order, to make it more rhetorically effective. And then I can either do 5 to 10 minutes of research to find some insights about a VP of facilities somewhere, or I can do what I did, which is spend a couple minutes searching and then just make it up. So I make it up a little bit. I write personalized opening up here for a fictitious VP of facilities. So that's the text in yellow. And then I add some more to bring it in alignment with the value prop. And I add an open-ended question at the end. So I add the text in yellow here. If you're interested in a mechanical breakdown of the message to my imaginary VP of facilities in Frankfort, Kentucky, the intro is something like, saw you recently completed the Frankfurt Marathon. Well done. And now I begin transitioning the value prop. So the setup part of the transition is, if you need a warm place to practice running, try Frankfurt's heated, empty office buildings. And then the payoff of the transition, working from home has emptied office spaces, but What if offices could reclaim their workforces? And now we're on to the value prop. It's not amazing, but if you were a VP of facilities in Frankfort, Kentucky, and you've just completed a marathon, I think you might read on, right? So I go from this much text in summary to this much text after all the edits are in. And that's a pretty heavy edit, right? It's a lot of work to do over and over again. Still, it took less time than starting from scratch, but I have to supply the personal insights, the value prop, the transition to the value prop. I have to do all that myself. What ChatGPT brings to the table is a readable, if long, email that embroiders the truth a bit. Now, some of ChatGPT's touches feel legitimately artistic. I mean, truly. And I love that, right? Who doesn't love that? But there's a time and a place for artistry. And if you mix up the time and place to get creative, what should be applause worthy instead becomes annoying, especially if the AI is artistically inventing company policies or altering your value proposition. So if you have to write 5 emails a week to people you meet at networking events, ChatGPT can help you knock those out. It might be a good use case, in fact. And as we think, though, about suitability for sales, it's not really a fair comparison because it never really claims to help you with your workflow or anything. But the process of research, of generating the messages and editing and then copying and pasting into Outreach or Sales Loft, it's very clunky. Okay. The question before us, can Scribe do better? Now, if it can't, this whole webinar is going to be an embarrassing catastrophe, just to raise the stakes and keep you on the edge of your seat. So one difference right off the bat, I'll notice, is that Scribe helps construct messages for individuals and not for people groups. So I need to point it at an actual person. So I give Scribe an email address or I can insert a LinkedIn profile to get contact data. I also include the value prop from before that we used, and I select 3 insights from Scribe so the AI can attempt to personalize the message. Now, when I hit generate, it looks like this. On the left is all the insight stuff. On the right is that's the message where it creates the message. But it actually, if you scroll down, it doesn't just create one message, it creates 3 messages with 9 different subject lines to choose from. So here are the first 3. A better way to work from home, bring home to work with home cubes, keep your employees happy and productive. Now, in addition to these subject lines, it gives me a 146-word email. It says, Dear Terrence. Now, Terrence is an actual, I found his information and insights through Scribe and LinkedIn. I'm redacting his name and company because he's just some random guy. I didn't get permission to use them, but he is a real manager of facilities, VP of facilities for a big company. So it starts this way. In the 10K report that your company recently published, one of the risk factors mentioned is remote work. It is understandable why employees would want to increase productivity, or employers would want to increase productivity and entice their employees back to the office. At Home Cubes, we understand how important it is for businesses to create an environment that reflects what it's like to be at home. We offer a unique solution through our Home Cubes that recreate the sights, smells, and sounds of home in the workplace, from kids arguing in the next room to contractors banging on walls. Our product helps employers bring home to work and watch productivity soar. Would you like to find out more about how Home Cubes can help your company? I'd love to arrange a call or demo for you and show you exactly how our product works. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay, so here's the message. It is brief, it's to the point, it's personalized, and I get multiple subject lines to choose from. But I need to tweak it still. So I revise by deleting the green words here and by adding the yellow, and I'm done. It's ready to send, right? The speed to send is so much faster than with ChatGPT. And before I go on to 2 more options and 6 more subject lines, let me just pause for a moment around this personalization bit. Scribe read this company's 10K report in seconds, and it pulled the insight. It's huge, right? The LeadIQ is it's partly what LeadIQ holds a patent for, right? Our ability to consolidate customer feedback or customer insights rather, and combine them with AI for a personalized introduction. I don't know the last time you read a 10K. They're long, very long, and they aren't exactly a page turner, but they can be incredibly valuable to find insights. So this is just one example of how Scribe does the research work for the seller. It saves a lot of time and a lot of energy. Okay, let's look at Scribe's second email. This is the second. I won't go sentence by sentence. This email also draws from the 10K report, but focuses more on ensuring safety on the return to work. This one is it notes that Terrence's last name means warrior, and that's the metaphorical clothesline to hang fighting for employees and productivity, fighting for productivity. So it requires a little more editing than the others, but not too much. It takes less than a minute. So something is becoming clear to me. I hope it's becoming clear to you. LeadIQ requires less editing and it better understands the form of a sales message. But we haven't even spoken about workflow, right? Scribe consolidates prospecting activities all in one place. It's pretty simple to use. So you find the customer contact data. That's the first step in an instant. You either enter a LinkedIn profile and get contact data from that, or if you're a LeadIQ platform user, LeadIQ's customer database can also give you a hand. It's quick and easy. Next, this is where you enter your value proposition. Once you enter it, Scribe retains it. So you don't have to retype or paste them in every time. You can edit your value prop or add new ones as well. Again, quick and easy. And step 3 is where Scribe consolidates customer insights. So you can choose from fun facts like name meanings or trivia about locations or LinkedIn data, podcasts that the prospect's been on, financial reports of their publicly traded company, earnings calls, news, so much more, right? All in the same place. And this saves so much time on research and it gives you a faster speed to send on each bit of outreach. And Scribe seamlessly integrates with Outreach and SalesLoft, or if you don't have Outreach or SalesLoft, you can use Scribe's Chrome extension for a smooth, repeatable process. So the end result, you get higher open rates, you get more at-bats, and you get fuller pipeline. Now, in summary, ChatGPT can write a pretty good first draft, but it doesn't quite understand the requirements of a sales message. It doesn't include relevant insights, which means you have to personalize from firsthand knowledge or send a generic templated email. And worse, sometimes ChatGPT goes off script, which could be embarrassing for an SDR in a hurry. And last, ChatGPT has no way of capturing contact data, and it's time consuming to switch between a contact data provider and ChatGPT. Scribe, on the other hand, is terrible at log lines for screenplays. It's terrible at generating fairy tales that are new, but it is good at serving its singular audience, sellers. Insights personalize each message in record time, and Scribe's connection to the larger platform speeds your operation. Now, which AI makes these messages enticing to the reader? I think Scribe's deeper understanding of the form of a sales message. I think it's personalized introductions, value prop, transition between the two. All of those things make for captivating messages. And which AI makes these messages easier for the sender? Scribe is built with the seller's needs in mind. So quicker speed to send, easier workflow, and powerful research tools let each user cast a wider net. AI is finally living up to its promise after years and years of hype. And LeadIQ, I think, can help your sales department take advantage. So we think AI is an important piece for your sales organization. And we at LeadIQ would love to help you fit it into the bigger picture. Thanks everyone very much for your kind attention. I'm going to turn things back over to Dan, who will walk us through a conversation with Connor Dunn.
All right. Thank you, Zach. I see some questions that are coming in. Just as a reminder, if you have questions, we're going to go to Q&A in about probably 7-8 minutes. And so we'll place them there and then we'll call them out with the time that we have. As Zach mentioned, I was perusing some data a couple weeks ago, and I found that we had the #1 power user of Scribe. And I reached out to this fine gentleman, Connor Dunn, from a company called Onfido, and said, "Hey, would you be willing to come on? You're doing about 1,500 Scribe generated messages a month." And he has been so kind to have a couple conversations with me. And so I just thought it would be cool to transition and talk to somebody who's actually using Scribe. Connor, do you just want to give like a 30-second about you? I feel like you should get props. You are a #1 power user. So tell us about Onfido, what you're doing there. And then I did have a couple questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you having me on. Yeah, just a little background on myself and Onfido. Onfido is a KYC provider. We help companies mitigate fraud and satisfy compliance needs during onboarding and beyond. And I am a enterprise SDR. I've been at Onfido for a little over a year
Connor,
now.
I just heard a value prop. I just heard you do a value prop. which is good. So you and I were speaking last week, and we were just talking a little bit about the economic retraction that's been happening, of course, across software in general. How has it impacted your day-to-day efforts to help Onfido generate outbound pipeline? What's changed for you in the last 3 months?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, that everyone's budgets are getting slashed. So that in turn means less meetings, less responses, harder to get to my number. So it's something that I've definitely been seeing right on the front lines, and really had me have to focus on different strategies and ways to break into these accounts.
So Zach had spoken a few minutes ago about the challenge of breaking through the noise through like personalization, as well as the need for a good value proposition. So Scribe aside, or generative AI aside, how important has personalization been for you to get responses and ultimately get to a meeting?
Yeah. So I'd say, given the headwinds that we're seeing, it's definitely been harder to get into the accounts. So with these new strategies, before I think, before everything has been happening, that we could really identify pain points of companies and then how our product can help these companies solve those pain points. But I think over the last couple of months, we've really had to go a level deeper, really be able to see not only how are these pain points affecting the company, but this individual prospect that I'm reaching out. How does this pain point affect their KPIs? And then how can Onfido's product come in and help not just the company, but that individual's KPIs and performance?
I like to ask sellers this when I'm talking to them. It's my informal polling that I seem to be constantly doing. How much time are you typically spending on personalization, like the research component of it? But let's say before Scribe again, how much time were you spending on research?
It could really range anywhere how long the 10Ks their financial statements are. It could take anywhere from 20 minutes, and depending on the information that's readily available, it can take upwards to 30, 40
Okay.
minutes.
Is there been any particular type of personalization that you have found more effective?
I, as I said before, when it comes back to tying it to the individual's KPIs, what their pain point on what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, I find the 10Ks, financial statements. I'm an accountant by background before I moved into sales. So I spent a good bit of my career reading through all these financial statements, but being able to find, they list the pain out, what the company's struggling with and what they're trying to fix. And it allows me to really customize a message around it.
Regarding your use of LeadIQ, so you were an early adopter of Scribe. You're sending a lot of messages and creating a lot of messages through Scribe. How has LeadIQ, and maybe particularly Scribe, been most impactful for you in terms of personalization and the volume that you seem to be cranking out every day to get personalized messages out the door?
Yeah. So I'd say the number one thing, it really knocks that time to personalization and research from 40 minutes, sometimes down to around 5 minutes, where I don't have to read through the entire 10Ks and be able to tie what I'm reading through that 10Ks. The Scribe's able to read that for me. And the Scribe also has what our value propositions are. So I can tell as I'm generating these messages, what their titles are, what they're most concerned about, and how that aligns with our value prop. And then how the Scribe has been able to just tie all that together in one cohesive message.
Cool. So I guess one last question just on that, because again, I'm curious, and I think the audience might be. We have talked a lot about 10K today. So when Zach was presenting, the insights that we're currently pulling from with Scribe are things like in the news, LinkedIn, obviously 10Ks, personal insights about the person you're reaching out to. Besides the 10K, have you found any of the types of personalization that comes out of Scribe to be most useful? Because there's like 7 or 8 categories. Are you finding you're drawn toward a particular?
Yeah, absolutely. So they mentioned before in the call that sometimes we can start off with a joke or something that just like really hits home. So really being able to sometimes have some really good stuff in their LinkedIn profiles, just talking about directly what they're working on, what their focus is, and how I can use that information and tie it into what our value props are. And then also just recent news. If they had a new product launch, we were really heavy into the fintech area. So there's a new payment product that they're releasing, and then how I can just directly tie Onfido's value proposition and how we can come in and help.
All right, last question. Are you hitting your numbers?
Been a struggle, but I've been getting there.
Good. I appreciate it. If you don't mind, we're going to run into a Q&A session now. But if you don't mind staying on, because some of the folks on the on this call might have questions for you. But thank you for your time, and thanks for being our number one power user. I'll let you know if somebody surpasses you so that you can know that you've got to get to that number one status again. But thank you, Connor.
Awesome. I appreciate
Cool.
it, Dan.
So we are going to bring Zach back onto stage. I also want to introduce you to Sergey. Sergey is one of our lead engineers for Scribe here at LeadIQ. He runs circles around all of us technically. So I wanted to have a technical resource on. But at this point, I just want to see what questions we have from the audience. And so I'm going to pull these up. Okay. So the first question, and I think we touched a little bit, Tom is asking, let me just pull this up here for everybody to see. Other than 10Ks, what other input data is helpful? Connor, this might be a question for you. And then maybe Sergey, we could just speak specifically to the types of insights that we're able to draw from for Scribe.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say other inputs are really important is upfront, our team was able to just put in what our value drivers are. So I think really having that information off the bat and having a good cohesive value driver information. And then also, as we said, for news, really being able to pull everything from their LinkedIn, from their bio to what their current role is, what their past roles were. A lot of people within the personas that I work with, that it's a very niche role. So there can be a lot of recycle if they were at a previous company that was a customer, and it can even just speak to that. So between the LinkedIn, the news, and then just other financial information has really been like the big three, I would say, that I've been focusing on.
Very cool. So Sergey, I know we've touched on it, but if you don't mind giving a little bit more insight into the insights, because we've been adding more and more, or even over the past few months. So can you just give the audience an idea where we're drawing from and how we pull that into the message generator, as it were?
Yeah. So for LinkedIn, I think it's pretty straightforward. We're pulling LinkedIn summary. This is basically like your bio plus work experience. It's working pretty good right now. Also, like financial insights, like 10K report summary, as mentioned, earning calls. If the company isn't public, I think company info is pretty good to use. And yeah, but please don't restrict yourself. Just try a couple of things, and sometimes you just never know what ultimately can work.
Cool. Thank you. By the way, so you should be seeing in the audience pop up that says try Scribe for free, and it does correlate to a question someone asked. If you click on that link, we have released a freemium version of Scribe, and it really is in two forms. If you're not a LeadIQ customer today, you can simply sign up. You'll get 40 free messages that can be generated. And again, as Zach said, it's in batches of 3. So you'll get 40 instances that you can have a month. So it gives you an opportunity to get right in, play around with it. If you are a current LeadIQ customer, you will be receiving a message. Most of our customers, we have been migrating over to also get access to Scribe for free as well. So if you go into the web app, you'll see a pop-up there that you'll see that Scribe is available now for you. If you're having an issue with that, just please reach out to support. But we are in the middle of that migration as we speak. So thank you for that question. Zach, a question for you came up earlier. Let me pull this one up. It's related to the prompt. So did you include persona to who ChatGPT would reach out to input word restrictions? So it's harder.
No, that's a good question. I was comparing default settings to default settings. So you could ask for a lesser word count. You could change the parameters. You could, on one test, I know it said some false information. We said, that's not true. And then it said, oh, sorry. And then it came up with additional false information. So you can whittle it down through the prompts as well as editing it personally. That is true. But I think the important part for me is that it's default understanding about that's what I was interested in. What is it? It deals in forms of messages. What does it think a sales message is? And we saw what it thought, what it thinks a sales message is. Now, again, you can tailor it, but you have to, but the way you tailor it, you have to supply all the insights, the research. You've got to supply persona data. You've got to supply the transition to your value prop if you want to personalize. So all those other things.
So this is another question that came up I'll start with the second part is to you, Zach. Given that ChatGPT is free, how do you help score your cage match? I think he's wanting to know, how did it fare? How did it describe fare?
Yeah, I think that's an important point that ChatGPT is free if you can get signed in, and if you don't, it told me that I used my credit allowance, and so it wouldn't let me sign in for the rest of the month. So I do think that those are relevant points. I think that the issue with ChatGPT, I will say this to its credit, let me not degrade it. It's a versatile tool, does all kinds of stuff, right? Basically, it compiles consensus ideas and it puts them in a format that is easy to process. And that's valuable, but it's not tailored to the specific needs of sellers. And so I think if you're writing movie treatments, I think that ChatGPT wins handily to Scribe. But if you're doing sales outreach, I think Scribe is the
Cool.
winner.
And then Sergey, the first part of this question was, is Scribe trained on US data only? I think that's there's probably two parts to this. One, contact data, which is more of a lead IQ thing, but I think specific to Scribe, can you just speak to where are we pulling the value, not just the value props, because we're asking ourselves to write those, but just give us an overview of the overall, how we train the model.
Yeah, so we train the model basically on the messages that our clients putting up. And also, as for the US data only, I think it's not only the US, because we have, if you're using like LinkedIn of some person in France, for example, we're being able to pull up some insights about that person and be able to generate the email for that.
Cool. Yeah. The only thing I would add to that as well is, and which I know we didn't have time to touch on, is if you're using Scribe as part of a team, the AI is getting smarter based on group usage. So like take LeadIQ as customer zero. We have an SDR team and an AE organization, and they're doing outbound every day. And so we have multiple value props that we've created for our AEs and SDRs so that they are based on persona. So we're not locked into one value prop. So right now, LeadIQ has as many as 15 or 16 different value props if we're talking to RevOps versus sales leaders versus SDR managers. But if you're working in a team environment, there's ability for you, the AI, to not only be trained, but for sellers to be able to mark particular messages being effective. And there's more on that coming in terms of integration, more integration with tools like Outreach and SalesLoft from a reporting standpoint. But I think that's really important to see the reusability, but also it gets smarter when there's a team that is also using it as well. And then Carly, I think this is an easy one for me to answer. Oh, sorry. I'll just read it out. Carly, you asked, is the free version available for a period of time or indefinitely? The answer is indefinitely. So you are capped at 30 messages. If you're not an existing LeadIQ customer and you choose to go to a paid route to be able to generate more and more messages, if you want to become the Connor Dunn of doing 50 messages every business day, we do have options there. But yeah, it's indefinite in terms of you're free to use it. So thank you for that question. Okay, so here's a question from Jensen. This may have been covered, but if your company sells several different products with different value props to different personas, is it easy to apply different value props to the same 10K and pull out relevant messages for each? Sergey, I don't know if we want to touch on that. I think I just touched on it a bit, where the answer is yes. I was helping our sales team with our own value props. So we have capabilities that are part of our platform, but we definitely have different personas. So you can very easily create value props that are relevant for each. Now, on the application of the 10K, Sergey, I don't know the answer to that. So maybe you could help. I guess essentially, are we pulling different aspects of the 10K for different users, or currently are we pulling the same insight for each value prop that the customer has the option to use?
So since you're being able to choose the value prop as you want, you can easily generate a set of messages for one value prop and just go to the other one and see what's there.
Okay, cool. Connor, I believe this question is for you. Oops, it's from Sarah. The question is, when you say 1,500 email generations per month, is that individual emails or essentially sequences, like a series of 5 as the example per month?
So those will be individual emails. So usually try, in order to get my number, I have it broken down on an analytical level, is I need to send about 40 to 50 a day. Yeah. On an individual basis.
Very cool. Thank you. So Dan asked this question. I promise it was not me. It's a different Dan. Has asked, if we're trying for free, will it be able to reference people per LinkedIn or other open data sources? Sergey, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. You're being able to do that, of course, for free.
Short and sweet. Yes, you can. And really, I think Zach alluded to it. There's two, and this is probably a point of clarity. We just released Scribe standalone. So the link that you're seeing in the pop-up right now has again 2 paths. If you are not a current LeadIQ customer using our data and contact data and capturing and integrations, you can try Scribe and use Scribe standalone. In that case, you are going to have to know the email or the LinkedIn profile that you can input and generate the message. But if you are on our prospecting platform, then with the integrations with Outreach and SalesLoft, when you're capturing and creating sequences, all of that will be done directly in SalesLoft or in Outreach with a Chrome extension to make it really easy to move. Connor, in your instance, I can't remember, are you using Outreach or SalesLoft?
We're using Outreach.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully that clarifies that for you, Dan. Couple more. So here's a question from Sarah. So as a marketing agency, can I upload a list of prospects on behalf of my clients? I can Scribe personalize up to 3,000 email sequences or more per month per client. I think I understand the question. If the question is, can you do mass email sends, like mass generation, Sarah? If that's the question, then the answer would be no. You would be doing it as individual emails that are in a sequence if you're using Outreach or SalesLoft, or just individual messages if you're using the Chrome extension for Gmail. Okay, couple more. I think we answered. Colin asked how much time. Yeah, I think you answered this, but just in case we didn't hit it, Connor, how much time are you spending each day on sending emails today using Scribe?
I would say it varies day to day, but it probably ranges anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on my schedule.
Very cool. And I think this is the last question we have on the board right now. Can Scribe be integrated with SalesLoft and use it just 1 to 2 specific steps in the email sequence? I think the answer is yes on that. Sergey, do you want to enumerate or elaborate on that anymore?
Yeah, of course. So we have integration with SalesLoft, Outreach, and email, of course. So yeah, can do that.
Very cool. Oh, Dan brought in another one. Let's see it here. Do you have pre-written prompts for the queries into Scribe so we don't have to start from scratch? So this is a really good question. The challenge for the unifying factor, I think, for a company needs to be, obviously, for SDRs and AEs working with the marketing department, the company should know its value proposition. So we've written a couple blogs on like ideas to frame your value props for sure. But the value prop part of this is really important because it's where it aligns your company's brand so that you're not always having to depend necessarily on a 22-year-old just out of college to be making up their own value props. So this is one step to understand, okay, if I were to put my value prop into 100 words or 150 or 500 characters, that is the upfront piece of that. But a lot of the customers that we're talking to, they have value props because you have sellers that are already doing outbound prospecting. You have sales enablement and marketing organizations that are supporting. So we don't provide you your value prop because you would be best suited to do that. But we do have some advice. If you go to LeadIQ to our blog, we just wrote a blog on framing up a value prop in simple terms that hopefully you would find useful. In fact, Zach, I believe you wrote it.
Yeah. Can I jump in real quick? So once you write the value prop though, it's saved in. So you don't have to rewrite it. You don't have to paste it. It's in the software. So you can choose from, as you build out your value props, you can choose from those. It'll populate it. I think the way to think about this perhaps is that your value prop is what the value that you're bringing to the customer. What Scribe helps to do is contextualize each individual and attach them to your value prop to show how they connect together. So you don't have to do a lot of the personalization stuff. That stuff should be, you choose the insights that you think are relevant, and then it'll help attach that individual based on what we know about them to your value prop. That's the magic of Scribe. I don't know if that makes anything clearer.
Nope, that's helpful. So I'm going to do two more, and I think we're going to close out. So this one's a pretty simple one, Sergey. What are other open data sources? I'm assuming this is for where we're pulling insights from.
Yeah, we actually have a lot. And yeah, Adam, the 10K reports, of course, earning calls. We have, for example, job postings. We have podcasts. We're just showing basically like the Google search. Also, we have some fun facts about the name or location. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very cool. I think we want to close out with the time we have. We very much appreciate the participation. Hopefully, and I think, Zach, you enumerated this really well. The thing that we're really passionate about LeadIQ is making Outbound work and having generative AI be a part of an overall workflow. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate your feedback. As we said again, if you want to try Scribe for free, you can go to scribe.leadiq.com, or you can again click. I see 52 of you have done that already, to click on the link that you see here to try it for free. If you have any feedback or additional questions, I'll just give you my email. I should have popped it up, but it's dan.rood, ROOD @leadiq.com. Send me a note. We'd love to stay engaged. So for our panelists, Zach, thank you for all your work. Connor, Sergey, to all of you out in the audience, we hope you have a great day, and thank you for attending.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.